Welcome to the Quest Forums channel, where I'm going to be starting a new series. Might be a mini-series, I'm not really sure how many of these I'm going to wind up doing. But I've been going through an anthology of essays by C.S. Lewis, and there have been a few really good nuggets that have come out of that I just wanted to be able to review here. Not really expect I'm going to add much of anything new, but I just wanted to point people to them. So the one that I want to focus on first is Unforgiveness from 1947. And I'm going to include the link to an audio version of that for you to check out yourself. And this one's really not very long. It's well worth listening to. My biggest takeaway, the thing I wanted to point most to, was the distinction that Lewis makes between excuses and forgiveness. Where an excuse is something that we give ourselves. You know, we say if we've done something to hurt somebody else, we explain why we didn't have the power to stop it, or we didn't know the whole situation, or somehow or another, it's not our fault. So they should just get over it and not hold us accountable. Forgiveness is very different. Forgiveness is something that we ask for, and someone else has to give us, because we know that we have done something wrong, that we are responsible for it, and that it is inexcusable. The only way to make it right is if that other person shows us mercy. And forgiveness, of course, is at the heart of Christianity. And it's something that's spoken of very frequently in the Bible, because it is what we need from God. We cannot expect Him to accept our excuses. He does require that we behave in accordance with His character. And so when we fail of that, we need His forgiveness instead. We need to be able to confess to Him that we have sinned and that we need His grace. And the most amazing thing, of course, is that He offers it. That through Christ it is possible for us to be forgiven because of the price that He paid on our behalf. Now, there is the flip side of this as well when it comes to human relationships, which is instead of the forgiveness that we receive, it's the forgiveness that we're supposed to offer. And that's an important element too, where because we've been shown compassion, we should be able to do the same. And not just accept people's excuses, but instead recognize that they have done things wrong against us, but that because we have been forgiven, we can also be forgiving. And we can extend the same grace that God has given us, and hopefully draw them to God's grace as well. Like I said, there's so many places that talk about this. I just wanted to point to one, Matthew chapter 18, verses 21 through 35. That's the parable of the unforgiving servant, where a servant had a great debt to his master that would have taken lifetimes to repay. And his master, seeing the plight that he is in, just says, I'm going to wipe that out. You don't have to repay it anymore. But what that servant does, he immediately turns around, goes and finds another servant who owes him a few years' worth of wages. And when that person cannot repay him, he goes to sell him into slavery. And so the master calls him back and says, after everything that I did for you, this is how you respond? Well, then no, your debt is back in place and you are going to be sold in order to cover for this, something that he would never be able to cover for. And what this shows is that that servant, the one with the greater debt, he did not really accept forgiveness because it was not what he was looking for. He had to have excuses in mind. He had to be thinking, well, it was wrong of him to loan me that much, or surely he could never have expected me to repay anyway, so of course he was going to just let it go. And so because he had no reason to see what he had been given, he also had no reason to do the same for someone else, and it led to disaster. And so this is the attitude that we want to avoid. We want to, again, see what God has done for us so that we can do it for others. That's a very important aspect of our faith. It's what we're supposed to look like. It's what we do often struggle to look like, and so reminders like this to do better are always good to have. Again, I really would recommend that you check out the full essay, because there's a lot more in it than just what I've talked about here. The link to that will be in the description, along with the link to this article. And also down below, if you have anything that you want to share or questions to ask, feel free to put that in the comments. Thanks very much for checking out this video, and until next time, keep looking up.